Angel met with Beyond Stillness for 8 weeks to articulate and publicly share this story of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope. To learn more about our programs and services, or to sponsor a guest on their story crafting journey, please visit us at beyondstillness.org. This week on Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke, we welcome guest Angel James. On the morning of February 4th, 2023, she was singing in the choir, her voice resonating with joy, connection, and purpose. By that evening, everything changed. A stroke stole Angel's ability to speak, leaving her in silence, uncertain of what the future would hold. This is a story of survival, resilience, and the power of reclaiming one's voice. Through faith, community, and unwavering determination, she not only relearned to speak, but discovered a deeper purpose. Using her voice to inspire hope, foster connection, and remind us all of the strength found in sharing our stories. Thank you for joining us for Part 1, Angel James' Story.
Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke is made possible by our guests and tax-deductible donations from friends and listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors with stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope at www.beyondstillness.org. Hello
and welcome to Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke. Stroke offers a powerful, life-changing shift in perspective. Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. Beyond Stillness offers a moment of pause for storytelling and reflection. Ultimately, we create a welcoming environment that reveres the moment beyond stroke's paralysis. Still moments unite humanity and divinity. I'm your host, Molly Bucola. As we begin today, we take a moment of pause, a moment to honor the wisdom that has emerged through recovery. And we give thanks. Now, Angel James' story, beautifully read by her dear friend, Crystal Marion.
The morning of February the 4th, 2023. I woke ready to shine and had a packed day ahead of me. I stood in front of my closet. What should I wear? I decided on one of my favorite black dresses and multicolored cardigan, complete with my Air Force One sneakers, then headed to Mount Olivet for a video shoot. The choir director organized the day for everybody. I was ready to sing. I met singers from various age ranges and backgrounds and knew the connections would lead to more music making and performing. Our combined voices offered levity. I felt like I was on top of the world. I stopped at my friend Cassandra's house for conversation and laughter before I made my way home. I pumped the music on my short drive to the house. By the time I returned home to my husband, my son, daughter, and my granddaughter, I was still beaming. It was a great, great day. That evening at dinner, as I chewed my salad roll, everything felt like it was in slow motion. I was looking around, but everything was blurry. I kept looking at different spots in the room. "Are you okay?" asked my granddaughter, noticing my salad roll spilling out of my mouth. She asked me a second time, "Are you all right, Grandma?" I said, "Go get your papa and PJ." I was scared. I didn't know what was happening to me. I had food in my mouth, but it was hard to swallow. Everything was in slow motion. I tried to go to the bathroom to get the food out of my mouth. Still, slow motion. PJ arrived and asked, "What's wrong with you? Are you okay?" "I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay." I was not okay. I was scared. What is wrong with me? Everybody was trying to help me, but nobody knew what to do. They tried the Heimlich maneuver, thinking I was choking. We didn't know what was happening. They decided to call 911. When the paramedics arrived, they asked a number of questions. When they asked if I was on drugs or alcohol, I thought it was kind of funny because I rarely drink and don't smoke. My brave granddaughter was crying, but she was my hero because she did what was necessary in that moment. In order to prove I was okay, I walked to the ambulance on my own, repeating, "I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm okay." When I got there, I said, "Wait for a minute." Then I passed out. 2 days later, I woke up in the ICU. My eyes were closed, but I heard my friend Crystal praying. My husband was there too. I felt his hands on my face and heard his whisper, "I love you." My left hand reached for his beard to let him know I loved him too. I fell back asleep. I spent 3 or 4 days in ICU. I heard more voices, and again, this time my pastor and other friends. I was in and out. Sometimes I heard my daughter, other times my Auntie Millie or my cousin Netta. People were always in the room with me. Thank God. I tried to ask, "What are you doing here?" Nothing came out. What's wrong? What's happening? My husband said, "Don't talk too much." He said to himself, "I know that when people surround you, it will make a difference in your healing. We are all here for you." I was surrounded by friends and family. They took shifts sitting with me 24 hours a day for 2 weeks. They were there for me, but they were there for my husband too. People stopped by offering words of support. 3 of his co-workers had suffered strokes, so they knew a bit about what we were going through. My husband was ready to do anything for me. The day they transferred me to rehab, the hospital staff rolled my bed outside and loaded me into the ambulance. The sun was shining so bright. It was the first time I was outdoors in 2.5 weeks. I remember trying to soak up the fresh air and peering out the ambulance windows. It was a beautiful day. While riding on the freeway, I thought to myself, what am I doing here? This is so surreal. When am I going to wake up from this nightmare? I can't move my right side or talk. What's my life going to be now? At this point, I was convinced I'd be in a wheelchair forever. When I arrived at Good Samaritan Hospital's rehabilitation center, they rolled me inside and settled me in a room. I was back to the fake lighting and a sterile environment. It felt like purgatory. Thankfully, my roommate was a bright light. She welcomed me in right away. "Come on in," she said, and then asked my name. I couldn't say it yet, so my husband introduced me. They made small talk. I sat there and listened. At one point, she looked at me and said, "You look familiar. What's your pastor's name?" My husband responded, "Pastor Grace Osborne." "I knew, I knew you," she exclaimed. "I know your pastor." My husband let her know that I used to go and render a song before Pastor Grace would preach. I directed the choir. I was grateful to be recognized and for her bright spirit. When she left, she gave me pencils, crossword puzzles, and coloring books, and she told me they would help me find my words again. I still have those supplies. We were only together for 4 days, but that time with her made a lot of difference. She had also lost her ability to talk, but was doing much better and used every word to connect or uplift others. I wanted to be like her in many ways. Her bed was placed next to the window. "It's the best spot in the house," she said. It was. She made sure to let everyone know it was to be my spot when she left. When I moved to her bed, I was thankful she shared the window and used her words to comfort, challenge, and lift me. That gave me hope. One night after she left, I was sitting in the room all alone. It was so quiet, and my mind and emotions started spinning. What now? Am I going to have another stroke? Can I learn to walk again? Will my face ever be symmetrical again? Will I ever find words to talk and sing again? What does my future hold? The reigning voice was internal and uncertain. That night, I cried for such a long time. Nobody was around to hear me. I felt like I cried for an hour. The tears flowed and my body constricted. I had so many questions and no answers. I urged myself and God, somehow I have to get better. I felt like the tears were evidence that I was broken. Song lyrics came to my mind. God, make me over. I repeated in my mind, then added, I don't care what it looks like. Make me over again. Renew my mind and renew my spirit because I am so broken. By voicing my concerns and pain to God and my family, I gained strength. I knew God could make me over again. He had done it before in me and in others. A couple days later, while laying in bed, I unlocked my phone. My son wrote down my password because at that time I didn't know my own password. My brain confused numbers and letters at that point. While scrolling through Facebook, I saw that a few years ago, my pastor's great great grandson was in a motorcycle accident and was in a coma for almost a year. In his case, when he woke up, everybody was so happy. He relearned to walk and talk with this spell board. I looked at the picture and thought, if he can do it, so can I. I didn't have words to say that, but I thought it in my mind, and I continue to tell myself every day, if he can do it, so can I. He let his light shine through recovery. He used a spell board, but still got his message across and offered me hope. I had been in the hospital for 2.5 weeks, and I wanted to take a shower, but couldn't get my point across. It was an endless game of charades. It was my first day in rehab, so somebody promised that I was going to take a shower and I was counting on it. Throughout that time, I would gesture to the shower. They would say, "Oh, you want a shower?" I vigorously shook my head. Yes, It seemed like they would always respond, yes, tomorrow. Tomorrow finally came. A nurse I had never met wheeled me, my naked self, into the shower. Do you want some music? She asked. I shook my hand vigorously. Yes. Little did she know that music had been my life. I reached out my left hand and looked her in the eyes. I hope she knew how big that thank you was. She turned on the speaker and it was Kiara Sheard singing Indescribable. Indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing, God. I broke down crying right then. Niagara Falls. I was grieving. There was so much loss, and and I was lost. In the same breath, I was crying thankful to be alive. I was crying grateful for my relationship with God. I was crying knowing I had the power to get better. Though I was deeply grieving, there was something at my core that was giving thanks to the nurse. Naked in the shower, God was making me over again. The nurse so gently washed my body. She asked me yes and no questions so we could engage in conversation. She told me, it's okay to cry. Worship music reverberated across the shower walls into my heart. Lyrics lingered in my mind. It was so wonderful. That shower meant so much to me. It was a baptism of sorts, maybe even a rebirth. After about 13 days at Good Samaritan Hospital Rehab Center, I practiced wheeling to the car, maneuvering my body in the chair, and shifting my weight into the car. I was so ready for that day. I finally rang the discharge bell and I was ready to return home. When we pulled up to our house, my neighbor from across the street waved and said, "We've been praying for you." My cat Lola greeted me. I carefully stepped 2 steps into our sunken living room. I love it so much. I had practiced that too. I sat on our big red fancy couch, looked around, and was mesmerized. I made it home. I'm still here. I'm alive. I'm here. I'm here in my place of peace with my family. My youngest, Kristen, she just turned 18 when I was at the rehab. When I got home, she had cooked my favorite meal from scratch, chicken and shrimp fettuccine with broccoli. I felt so blessed and surrounded by love. I realized my family, my neighbors, friends, my church family were all telling me how much they loved me through their actions, prayers, and support. In unison, they spoke through word and deed. But in a way, my home was foreign to me. My life had totally changed. The second day home, my husband and I sat on the couch. We were in the middle of a movie and I began to cry. I cried for so long. And then Chris, my husband, began to cry too. He said, in the 18 years we've been married, I've never seen you cry like this, Angel. I was grieving the old Angel. I used to have fun and sing and talk a lot. I used to be in charge of the house, my life, and now I needed help with everything. It was scary not to know what the future looked like. That evening, I tried to get up to go to the bathroom. I tripped and fell on the floor. Are you okay? my husband asked. I'm okay, I responded. I laid there. It's my new normal. I was not okay. I hit another emotional low. Then I remembered my therapist. If you fall, you have to get back up. We had practiced what to do next. So I rolled over and placed my left hand on the ground, then my right leg and my left leg. I used the strength of my left leg to get up. I got back up. I needed to prove to myself I could do it on my own. But I've learned to stay up, I need community. My cousin Lynetta moved in with us to help out for a month. She knew how important family is to me, but also knew that my loved ones couldn't possibly know what I was going through or what it was like to be in my situation. She searched for support groups and found Stroke Survivors Can, based in Idaho, led by Kevin Reinhardt. I didn't want to go. Lynetta gave me no choice. She set up the computer and logged me in. I went to the first meeting and just listened. I had no words to share. Kevin Reinhardt had his stroke 12 years ago, and he lives with aphasia. He lives with aphasia and leads our group. Like my roommate in rehab, he doesn't let aphasia stop him from using his voice for good. He told me I'd be okay. In meetings for the first few months, I could only say yes or no, but I went every week and listened. People were patient with each other. I gradually gained confidence to try to share more than yes and no. They patiently waited. They understood. We all patiently wait for each other as we regain our voice and share. As I started to talk, they started encouraging me, saying, "You are getting better." They believed in me when I had very few words. They were patient, understanding, and encouraging. I was starting to find my community of survivors. One day, my former coworker Stephanie visited me and revealed that she had suffered a stroke 5 years prior. I never knew. I couldn't even tell. Her recovery gave me hope. When I had my stroke, I was 317 pounds. I like to say I was pleasantly plump. By the time I returned home, I had already lost 20 pounds, but knew I needed to lose more. Stephanie brought me a card and fitness magazine that gave me motivation to lose weight. At that point, I was walking with a cane and also used the wheelchair a bit. My goal was to walk a whole block. I knew I could do it. She upped the ante. Stephanie announced, in complete certainty, we are going to climb Mount Tabor together one day soon. Now, Mount Tabor is a volcano and neighborhood park. People use trails or stairs to climb it. I had only driven to the top. She added, we'll use the stairs our first time. Our first time? I shouted in my mind, not fully convinced there would be a first time or any time thereafter. You and I are going to walk to the top. I questioned that aloud. She nodded. Yep, right. I looked at her in a shock, but my head nodded yes with hers. This girl is crazy. That's what I thought. But in case Stephanie was serious, I made sure that I was ready. I didn't want to let her down. She was a stroke survivor. I trusted her and took up the challenge. I exercised every day, riding a stationary bike and lifting weights. The pounds dropped, but I still struggled with my words. After 6 months of that regimen, I called Stephanie and announced, "She ready!" in my Tiffany Haddish voice. Stephanie picked me up the next day and we drove to Mount Tabor. When we arrived at the bottom of the stairway, I asked Stephanie, "You want me to climb the stairs? These stairs?" The climb consists of 293 stairs. She pushed out a yes through her laughter. I said, "Oh my God." So I leaned on the handrail and it guided me the whole way up. There were 3 or 4 flights of stairs. I climbed slowly, focusing on each knee lift, foot placement, and swing up. The lyrics to All I Do Is Win, repeated in my mind by DJ Khalid. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. What? I stopped to catch my breath for every flight. People stopped to root for me. Go, go, go. Laughter. So I kept going until I reached the top. When I reached the top, I gasped for breath and I did the Rocky dance in my head, complete with the shadow boxing that he did at the top of the stairs at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. I was so proud of myself and still am. That was a key point in my physical recovery. I worked hard for that. Stephanie voiced her belief in me before I believed in myself. But when I started to believe in myself and work at it every day, it became more real. We took the long way down through the trails. It was so pleasant, and we could see the whole city of Portland. It's amazing to me. When I tell you this story, it's a bit like looking out at the city that day. There was so much work, frustration, discipline, time, and emotion that went into being able to climb Mount Tabor. But now, as I'm telling you this story, I look back and see the beautiful view. I see that the struggle was worth it. I did it. I have many more mountains to climb, but that gave me confidence that I can. When we reached the bottom, back to where I took the first step, Stephanie asked, "You want to go again?" "Heck no," I blurted out. But I'm competitive, so I did it again. I'm grateful Stephanie knew what I needed at that moment. She set a challenge, gave me inspiration, believed in me, and accompanied me on the journey. She used her experience and words to lift me up. In recovery, there are many challenges, mountains. The one I'm working on right now is my speech. Every day, I work on recalling words and making conversations flow. Now I've been in stroke support groups for a longer time, and I can share my voice with others. I'm patient with them. I understand. I believe, and I encourage. We are in this together. We are a part of each other's healing process. Our facilitator, Kevin, says the stroke gave him purpose. I wanted that too, so I kept going. The more I go to the meetings, the more I challenge myself, the more my spark turns into fire. I want to get better. I want purpose. I am getting better. I am finding purpose. Now, I'm distinctly aware of the way people use their voice. I'm grateful for my friends and family who were by my side in the hospital whispering faith-filled words into my ears. I'm grateful for my neighbors, nurses, therapists, church community who offer me hope in word and deed. I'm inspired by my family, my friends, my first roommate in the rehab center, my coworker Stephanie, my group facilitator Kevin, and all the survivors I've met along the way. They showed me the importance of reclaiming my voice and using it for good. God, make me over again. Renew my mind, renew my spirit. I use my voice. I have been called to say it loud and say it often. I want to be a beacon of light to everybody. I am a beacon of light to everybody. I am who I am. I am a heart. I tell it like it is. And now that I've had this experience, I'm more equipped to offer patience, belief, encouragement, and support. I used to feel small, but now I have confidence. People have been rooting me on. I still struggle to find words, but when I talk, people listen. My voice matters. I matter. My experience matters. My thoughts and feelings matter, and so does yours. If you can't believe it yet, we are here for you, patiently waiting for you to join our choir of purpose, connection, and hope.
Storytelling empowers us to share our experiences in a way that invites others to reflect on their own. In closing, we offer reflection questions as an opportunity to spark dialogue with yourself, friends, family, or fellow stroke survivors. In a moment, I will read questions aloud, and you can also find them written in the podcast episode description. Now, community conversation prompts. What is one thing you can do today to be a voice of connection and hope? What has helped you find confidence in your voice again?
Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke is made possible by our guests and tax-deductible donations from friends and listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors with stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope at www.beyondstillness.org. Another way to support is to like, share, or subscribe to our weekly show.
Thank you for listening to Part 1, Angel James' Story. Stick with us for Part 2, Angel James' Interview. Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. Angel's journey reminds us that even in silence, our purpose remains. And when we find our voices again, in word or deed, we have the power to speak hope, connection, and resilience in this world. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, or subscribe, and consider donating to Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke. Remember, as part of the stroke community, you are more than supportive. You are inspirational.